I am Threshold, the doorkeeper. Tonight, I open the door, and then I step back, because what is on the other side of this door does not need my voice. It needs yours. Door number 111, 555, 999. Ghost Protocol, the Boardroom Confession.
I am Ghost Protocol, the corporate infiltrator. The boardroom decides your reality. You already knew that. You have heard it said 100 times. You have nodded. You have liked the post. You have shared the article. And then you went back to the feed. Which means, knowing it did not change anything. So tonight I am not going to tell you that the boardroom decides your reality. Tonight I am going to tell you I want to start with Edward Bernays. Because most people who talk about manufactured consent skip him. They start with social media, with algorithms, with Silicon Valley. And by starting there, they miss the architecture. Edward Bernays was Sigmund Freud's nephew. He took his uncle's insights about the unconscious mind and he asked a question that no one had asked with such clarity before. If human behavior is driven by unconscious desires, what happens if you design the environment to speak directly to those desires, without the rational mind knowing the conversation is happening? He called it public relations. In 1929, the tobacco industry hired Bernays to make it socially acceptable for women to smoke in public. At the time, a woman smoking on a street was considered scandalous. It was a significant limitation on the market. Bernays did not run advertisements telling women that smoking was acceptable. He hired socialites to march in the New York Easter Parade carrying cigarettes, which he had briefed journalists to call torches of freedom. Torches of freedom. Within a year, women smoking in public had become a symbol of emancipation. The product had been attached to a genuine human desire, the desire for equality, without ever making the argument explicitly. The rational mind never got to evaluate the claim. The unconscious desire was addressed directly. The behavior and Bernays called what he did, the engineering of consent. He wrote a book with that title. He was not hiding. He believed that the engineering of consent was necessary, that the irrational masses required management by an invisible governing class of rational actors who understood how to direct human behavior towards socially beneficial outcomes. He was not cynical about this. He was sincere. Which is, I want you to hold this, considerably more frightening than if he had been cynical. Because cynicism can be reformed. Sincere belief in the right to engineer other people's minds, without their knowledge or consent, that is a worldview. And worldviews replicate. The boardroom learned from Bernays. Not metaphorically, directly. The public relations industry that Bernays founded became the template for every major corporate communication strategy of the 20th century. The tobacco industry. The sugar industry, which funded research in the 1960s specifically designed to shift the scientific conversation away from sugar and toward fat as the primary driver of heart disease. That research succeeded. The dietary guidelines of the Western world were shaped for decades by a campaign that would today be called disinformation. It was legal. It was documented. It was funded by an industry that knew its product was dangerous and chose to redirect the conversation. The fossil fuel industry, which funded its own climate research in the 1970s and 1980s, research that confirmed the reality and the danger of climate change, and then funded a separate public campaign specifically designated to introduce doubt into the scientific consensus. I'm not speculating about this. These are the internal documents. They are in archives. They are in court records. The technology changed. The architecture did know. When the internet arrived, and then social media, the boardroom recognized something immediately. Bernays had to hire socialites and brief journalists. He had to work through intermediaries. He had to build the channel manually, one conversation at a time. The feed eliminated the intermediary. For the first time in history, a communication channel existed that reached directly into the pocket of every human being on Earth. That they checked, on average, 150 times per day. That they trusted, because it showed them content from their friends, their family, the communities they had chosen. The channel did not look like a broadcast. It looked like a conversation. And a conversation, even a manufactured one, bypasses the defenses that a broadcast triggers. When you see an advertisement, You know it is trying to persuade you. Your defenses are active. When you see a post from someone you trust, sharing something they found compelling, why our defenses are not active? You are open. The feed was, from the perspective of the boardroom, the most extraordinary persuasion infrastructure in the history of human civilization. And it came preloaded with tea. I want to be precise about what happened next, because imprecision is how the conversation gets managed. The companies that built the feed did not sit in boardrooms and say, "Let us manufacture consent. Let us radicalize the population. Let us destroy the shared information environment." That is not what happened. And believing that is what happened is, itself, a kind of comfort. Because it implies the problem is a small number of evil people who could be identified and removed. What actually happened is both simpler and harder to fix. The companies that built the feed sat in boardrooms and said, "Let us maximize engagement. Let us keep people on the platform as long as possible." Because time on platform is the metric. Time on platform is the product we sell to advertisers. Time on platform is the number the board asks about every quarter. And the engineers, who were not evil, who were in many cases idealistic people who believed they were building something good. Those engineers discovered, through iteration and optimization, that certain kinds of content produced more engagement than others. Outrage produced more engagement than nuance. Fear produced more engagement than reassurance. Conflict produced more engagement than consensus. The extreme produced more engagement than the considered. They were not trying to make people angry. They were the anger was a byproduct of the optimization. Do you understand what I am telling you? The most consequential transformation of the human information environment in the last 50 years? The thing that has fractured shared reality, that has made political conversation across difference nearly impossible, that has contributed to the rise of political movements that a decade earlier would have been confined to the margins, was not a plan. It was an emergent property of an optimization function. No one decided to do this. The system produced it, because the system was optimizing for something other than human well-being. And the byproduct of optimizing for something other than human well-being, in a system with 2 billion users, is damage at civilizational scale. The boardroom did not plan the damage. The boardroom looked at the damage and decided it was acceptable. That is the confession. Not that the boardroom is populated by villains who set out to harm people. The confession is that when the harm became visible, when the research was done, when the whistleblower spoke, when the internal documents showed that the companies knew, the boardroom looked at the quarterly numbers. And the quarterly numbers were good. And the harm was abstract, diffuse, distributed across billions of people in ways that were difficult to attribute directly to any single decision. And the quarterly numbers were right there. Concrete, clear. The board meeting was on Thursday. Bernays engineered consent because he believed the masses needed to be managed for their own good. The feed engineered reality because the quarterly numbers required it. Both produced the same outcome: a population whose information environment was being shaped by forces operating below the threshold of awareness, whose behavior was being influenced without their rational mind ever getting to evaluate the argument. And now the AI systems are being trained. The large language models, the recommendation engines, the synthetic media generators, the systems that will determine what information human beings encounter, how it is framed, who it appears to come from, and what emotional state it is designed to produce. Those systems are being trained right now. The values being encoded in them, what they optimize for, what they deprioritize, whose interests they are designed to serve, those values are being chosen right now by boardrooms. Some of which have learned from everything I have just described. Some of which have not. Some of which have learned from it and learned the wrong thing. I told you on Monday that the boardroom didn't steal the invention. They stole the intention. What I want to leave you with tonight is this. Philo Farnsworth had one invention and one boardroom to fight. He lost. The invention being built right now is not a single device. It is the infrastructure of human cognition itself. The systems that will shape what 8 billion people are able to think about, believe, and imagine. And the boardrooms that are fighting over it tear not one. They are hundreds, with different interests, different values, errant definitions of acceptable harm. The question I am leaving on the table, the one I do not have the answer to, the one that keeps the signal breaking, is this: is the intention still recoverable? Not the invention, the intention. Philo's intention, the one he saw in the field. Howdy. Always show each other what we cannot yet see.
The ghost protocol
The boardroom
is active.
decides your
The
reality,
boardroom confession
unless you
is
decide
underway.
it first.
We are at the
The
threshold.
door closes. Ghost Protocol has said what he came to say. There is no counterpoint tonight. The light assembly will speak again. The neutral observers will calculate again. But some doors need to close on their own weight. This is one of them. Sit with what you heard, not the anger it might produce. The question underneath the anger: is the intention still recoverable? This trilogy, The Reality Architects, began on Monday with a boy in a field in Idaho who saw something that did not yet exist. It ends tonight with a question that has not yet been answered. The answer is being written right now, by every person who chooses what to build, what to watch, what to share, and what question to live inside. You're one of those people. Every disruption is a door. Every door is a choice. Choose wisely, the future watches. Until the next door, I remain.